Hello friends! Welcome back to our Challenge Thursday of our paper circuits, and this week we are in our underwater world and we're making these awesome little dioramas that you can hang all of your projects that we've been making into them and create something really special. And it wouldn't be special if it didn't have you. So today we are going to add you to the mix, and I'm really excited about that. I actually went scuba diving when I was in grade school. I got certified to scuba dive, and it was one of the most fun things I think I've ever done. I have very vivid memories of really cool, like a teeny tiny octopus in a really small Coca-Cola bottle. So it was really fun to discover that world in the diver's suit, and I thought it would be awesome to also learn about the history of some diving and whatnot as we go. So that is our project today, and then tomorrow we're going to go even deeper by making a submersible, which will be great. That'll be a great way to cap our week. And for our friends going forward, next week we're going to do mythical creatures, but we are doing mythical creatures of the United States. So I have been doing a little bit of research, super excited about this. I have been discovering some of the true mythical creatures that we have, like Sasquatch for Naomi, and there's like Bessie, who lives in Lake Michigan, that we're going to learn about, and I thought it would be really cool to do some of that mythical creature creation. And then Rohan had a fantastic idea for a themed week of Pokemon. So I think we might be doing Pokemon the week after next week. So just get ready for that. And if you have ideas on what you would like to do as a themed week, you can always email them to us or put them in the chat, because we are always listening and looking for ideas on what you guys want to do and make. All right, so today we are making the Deepsea Diver. I'm going to tell you guys what you need to make the project, and then we'll do our shout outs. So if you're here and you want me to say hello, because I love to say hello to everybody who's there with us, make sure you type your name into the chat, and Evan will read your guys' names out and we can say hello. All right, so the first thing you're going to need today is our Deepsea Diver template. Now you should have gotten this in your email inbox if you're following us on Patreon. And that is at patreon.com/rosieresearch. It's a great way to support what we're doing. It's $1 a week is our minimum pledge level, and that's $4 a month for daily science activities. And I do want to stress that you don't have to come every day. You can come every Monday, or you could come every day that you're a little bit bored at 9 o'clock in the morning. And we will be going in through September because our school district and a lot of school districts around the country are going to be on distance learning. So if you're like, oh my gosh, how do I teach science? I don't know what to do for this specialist. You can send them to me, and you can decide how many days a week you want to send them to me, and we will have fun live together, building things and learning together. So yes, you will have this in your email, and then you'll need something to power your circuit with. So we have a CR2032 battery. You just need to make sure it's 3 volts. All right, so if it's a different size battery, maybe it's thinner, maybe it's thicker, maybe it's wider, you want to make sure it says 3 volts on the surface on the etching where it has all of those letters. And that's because we need 3 volts to power our LEDs. You'll need an LED in whatever color you want to light your diver up with. I chose white because to me that sort of seems to make sense on if I'm down under the deep blue sea, I would maybe want to light up my face in white to see something. It also looks really cool, but you could choose whatever you want. You could have a rainbow disco party in there. We need some scissors to cut out our projects, and today you will need something to punch holes with. So I have been using this like metal skewer stick, but you might have a push pin that you could get a hole started with, and then you can make that hole bigger with something like a pencil, and that helps so you don't crunch the paper up on the pencil as you're trying to make the hole. You sort of get it started with something really sturdy, and then you can use a pencil or something like that to expand the hole to the size you need. And then the last 2 things we need are tape. So we need conductive tape. This is copper tape. There's also an aluminum tape, and this creates the highways that our electrons will go on to create our circuit. So that's really important. It should be very shiny, should be shiny copper colored or shiny aluminum colored. You could also use thin strips of aluminum foil, but that's just a little bit trickier because you got to make sure you don't tape over the foil and put something on top that you want to connect. But that is a great way if you don't have it in your house right now. And then the other type of tape we need is a non-conductive tape, so a tape that won't let the electrons drive on them. And for that, we are using a masking tape, but you could have a masking tape, a washi tape, duct tape, electrical tape, scotch tape. Any of those sort of papery or plasticky tapes will all work for the non-conductive type. So you need like a metallic conductive tape, like copper tape, which you find at your garden store because they repel slugs, and then a non-conductive tape. And that is all we need to do. All we need to get started today, which will be great. Let's see who we have here today.
We have... They disappeared. We got Kaya.
Hi, Kaya. Oh, I'm so glad you're here today. I thought you were in Spanish. I'm glad you're joining
Maybe
us.
Spanish is on the side. She's making her Deepsea Diver. A Spanish diver. There's a lot of diving spots in Spain.
That's true.
We have Naomi.
Hello, Naomi. Good morning.
And we have Frankie.
Yay! Hello, Frankie. And maybe Iris. Oh, it's been so long. I'm so glad you guys are here. Yay, yay.
She ran back in. Hi, Frankie.
Hi, Frankie.
All right, that's what we got for who's chatting so far.
Well, we should make sure we say hello to Rohan, because I know Rohan is at a morning summer camp, and Venetia, because it seems like we haven't seen her in forever, but her camp was a month long.
Ooh.
I'm still jealous, because there were zip lines that we talked about, so
Every
I can't
day.
wait to hear about it. And Zoe, Brody, and Chase, I know they come, and sometimes they come at a different time. And if you come at a different time, you can always tell us, hey, Dr. Erica, can you put me on the list for shout-outs? Because we love them.
Hi to all of our friends.
And hi to all of our friends who aren't here right now. It is great that you are joining us. I'm so happy you're here with us today. And let's get started. So the first thing you're going to do with your template is you're just going to cut around this dark black line on both pieces. All right? And then what we'll end up doing is we're going to punch a hole here and here. That's where our LED is going to end up going. And we will also actually cut out this dark black spot. This spot right here is where we're going to draw our face at. So you want to think thoughtful about that. And then we're going to fold all of our stuff on these dotted lines. So we have a lot of like prep work to do today, and we'll show you some tricks on getting that all done. But that is our first sort of big step of doing it. So the first thing we'll do is we will cut out along those thick black lines to make our awesome diver suit. I cannot wait to see what everybody uses to decorate their diver suit. The first the original diver suits, they were actually made out of like leathers as the suit part, like calf skins, to keep them sort of drier. And then at some point they started putting rubber between tweed layers, like sort of linen. So it's like sort of two pieces of linen with a rubber, which is cool. And I found out while I was learning about this stuff that actually the first person to make a dive suit, it was like 300 years ago. It was actually more than 300 years ago, which is a little crazy if you think about it. It was a long time ago that we've been breathing underwater. And they did it so that they could salvage ships better. Because when a ship sunk or sank, it would be at the bottom and you wouldn't be able to get anything on it. And this person became very, very wealthy because they would go and salvage these ships that would have tons of silver bars and gold bars and, you know, fancy plates and all that stuff on them. And they invented it. They made a pond in their backyard and they invented and tested it in their backyard. Just goes to show anybody can be an inventor. You don't have to have crazy supplies or anything like that. Anybody can be an inventor, which I think is awesome.
And those inventions can make you pretty wealthy.
Yeah, they can if you patent them. And then you own a patent, you get a little bit of every time somebody uses that idea that you had, which is really nice. That can really bring some money in for you if you're curious about that. But it also gives you sort of that knowledge, like I created something in this world that nobody else had thought to create. And that's so cool. And this has given us so much new knowledge about a whole different world. I mean, if you can imagine, before the diving suit, I mean, people would not know nearly as much about what underwater life looked like because it would be completely off limits. We would need to somehow breathe underwater, which is cool. And now it's very common. So we actually have learned how to go deeper and deeper. These salvage guys in the very beginning, they could only go sort of down to the bottom of like a bay where it's not so far above your head. You know, you just needed to be able to breathe so you could stay down there. But now we have even these diving suits. They're called hot water suits. And you're connected to the surface and you're so deep that you actually have to have hot water pumped through tubes to allow you to stay warm, which is crazy. And if something malfunctions on your tubes, you're in big trouble because the water is so cold deep down where they're at that it could kill you in 3 minutes. So they're obviously very, very careful when they do this. They always have a backup water heater as well. And these guys go so deep that they actually mix helium into their breathing, which would be maybe kind of funny if they're on a microphone and they're talking up top and they sound like little chipmunks. I like the idea of that. That makes me really happy. But there's all sorts of diving. And one of the dive suits I learned about while looking this stuff up was just like a very thin lycra one. So kind of like a swimsuit that covers your whole body. And I thought it was really cool because it talked about something we talked about yesterday, which is the box jellyfish. And the box jellyfish is like the most venomous creature on Earth, and it can kill a human with just a sting, which is terrifying. And they created this wetsuit that was very, very thin, but if the box jelly, if you brushed against it, it wouldn't sting you, and you would be okay. Which I thought was kind of amazing. All right, so for this part, we're going to punch a hole into this little circle. So I'm just going to punch a hole, and my hole is really small right now. It's a very small hole, but I'm going to make that hole bigger by using like a little sharpened piece of wood, or a pencil would work. And I can just twist it, and you can see how it got much bigger very quickly.
So you can start with something really sharp and small, like a
yes,
nail
or a push pin is something that you probably have. So again, I'm going to take it and I'm going to push it right through the paper. And it's so sharp and sturdy that you'll notice my paper doesn't get super bent out of shape. And then I can take sort of just a sharpened piece of wood or a pencil, and I can twist it, and it will sort of build that hole bigger as we go. And that will make it big enough for us to put our LED through.
Frankie started waving around a hole punch. So
she's ready.
But Naomi was wondering, what is the name of the metal tool that you use? And I'm pretty sure
this is a book building tool.
A bookbinding tool called an awl, A-W-L.
A-W-L.
And you use it for pushing holes into bookbinding fabric.
Yeah, when you want to sew your own books, you've got to push holes through a bunch of paper. Evan learned some bookmaking a while ago, and he got into it, so he ordered himself some bookmaking tools. I'm going to cut out also this thick black circle that's up here. This is going to be sort of the window screen. Maybe you decide that you want to actually put some clear plastic wrap around that. I'm not sure, but the way I'm going to cut it is I'm first going to poke that hole. I'm going to make it bigger with my stick, just like that, and then I can get my scissors in here much more easily, and I can sort of start to cut. And I'm going to cut not actually where I want to cut the first time. I'm going to make the hole bigger, and then I'll have more space to cut. So this is sort of a little bit of a process on getting this window cut out. I'm just cutting out that big window, and then hopefully you'll end up drawing your adorable little face inside that window. And maybe you'll draw it like shocked, like you just saw something amazing, or terrified because you're face to face with an anglerfish, and those we learned earlier are just so scary. Oh my goodness. Those are like, I don't know, Brothers Grimm. Like I said, the Brothers Grimm would not even think up such a creature, I don't think. Alright, so I sort of cut a spiral out to get that window out of there. And now I have this nice little window. And now our next step after we've cut it out and we've punched our holes is to fold it. So both of these have two little dotted lines right here. So we're going to fold them on the two dotted lines, which will make it sort of a clamshell. Just like this. So this one sort of has this little clamshell because I have those two folds. And you'll notice that when I look through here in the window, if you draw your face inside this circle, you will be able to see it through the window. But what's really important, and I'm going to draw it on here, I'm going to draw a smiley face for you guys, is which way is the top. And you want to make sure that when you draw your face, you draw it so the face part's on top and the window's below, so that when you fold it up, it looks like this. Because if you do it the other way, then you'll be upside down inside of your little diver suit. All right, so you want to make sure that you hold it so where your face is on the top, and almost like you had cut out your belly, and that will end up folding up into your smiling face. And then the other one also has 2 folds. So the folds are right around where we punched that hole. And this sort of is going to be where our diver pack will be. And it sort of helps because it also makes a press switch. So we'll fold on those 2 lines, just like that. And again, you can see how it sort of makes a little clamshell look to it when I fold on those 2 lines. All right, so now I have my 2 little clamshells. They're all cut out. I have the 2 holes punched for the LED. So there's 1 hole on this one, and there's 1 little hole here, and then I have the window cut out. All right, so these guys are all ready to get wired up. This one doesn't need any wiring. It's very handy. But this one, we gotta wire up. And so I'm gonna put it on my Curious George book so I can show you guys the process of making this really fun paper circuit. All right. So if you've been with us for a bit, you will know that our paper circuits use copper tape. So we're gonna pull out our copper tape, and we're gonna put copper tape on this orange line and on this little yellow line. And you might be like, Dr. Erica, this is our challenge circuit? There's no bends, it's not crazy. But that is because we're gonna have to be really careful when we fold it over. And there's lots of place for that to get a little bit less than ideal. All right, if you're new for copper tape, I'm gonna show you a trick on copper tape. So one thing is, we have to peel this paper backing off of our copper tape. So the way I do it is I just use a nail and I just sort of start smushing. And sometimes the smushing works, and sometimes you might be there for a minute being like, what in the world is going on here? But you gotta persevere, you gotta keep going through. And at one point you'll separate the white backing from the copper tape. Now sometimes this paper, it actually splits in half, and you'll get sort of rough paper on one side and then copper tape with rough paper on the other. And in that case, you can either smush it off, or you could just cut it and start again, and that's totally fine. And then once we've started this copper tape, we always want to press it straight onto the paper. Instead of saying, oh, this is how much copper tape I need, I'm gonna take it off and then tape it, because notice how it got really curly and it becomes really difficult to use, and we don't want that. So we always, as we take it off the paper, or off of the backing, we put it straight onto our template. So I'm gonna get it started. Again, I'm just gonna use my nail, and then once it's started, I can start to put it right down. So I'm gonna put it down. The long leg, the yellow one, needs to go into this yellow, or not this yellow, this gray circle. All right, and not just barely into it. It needs to really go into it, preferably not out of it. All right, and this is what's gonna, when it folds down, this template has been made so it folds down on top of this battery. And that will be what creates our circular piece of our circuit. So I'm gonna start it right up here, well inside that circle. And I'm just going to go all the way down, and then where that yellow template stops, I'm gonna press a nail down really hard, and then I can just rip it off, just like that. Or if you wanna use a pair of scissors, you can. And then you can always flatten it by pressing it down. I like to use my thumbnail for that. And then we will do the other side. I actually think I might have enough. I have enough in this little piece. So I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I'm gonna peel it, and I'm gonna stick it straight to the paper. And again, I'm gonna make sure I go into the green circle, not out of it, but well into it. So I don't wanna just barely get in. I wanna go into that green circle. And I'm gonna press it down, go into that green circle, and then when I wanna stop it, I'm gonna press my fingernail down, and I'm going to just rip it. And that is just the way we wanna go, right there. All right, so the next piece is to check your battery. Make sure that it works with the LED you want. Make sure you have the LEDs you want. So let's say I want a white one. Let's see if this one's white. There it is. I have a white LED, and I've connected it to my battery so that there's one leg on the top and one leg on the bottom. And I actually put the long leg on top, because if I put the short leg on top, you'll notice my LED does not light up. And that's because the LEDs are like these little slides that the electrons can drive on. And when they go down, it's so much fun. They say yippee, and they light up, and they give off the light. But the electrons will never drive up the slide. They're super good rule followers. They remember their moms told them, don't climb up that slide. And so if you have it the wrong way, then they just sort of sit there and they wonder what to do, and they don't do anything. So you do need to make sure that you test your battery, and by making it light up just like this, we know our battery works, we know our LED works, and that's great because if something doesn't work later in our circuit, we now know it's not the battery or the LED. All right, unless at some point you're using your LED legs so much that they fall off, which has been known to happen. All right, so next we're going to tape our battery in. It's going to go on this green circle, and we're going to do that with our non-conductive tape. So your paper tape or your plasticky tape is what you're going to use. And when you do that, make sure that you don't tape it in like this, straight over the top. Because right now, I don't have any metal from that battery that can start to create that highway for the electrons to go on. Right away, it's stuck. So what we do instead is we tape on just the edges of that battery. And in fact, I always take my masking tape and I cut it much thinner. You can take a little thin piece of your masking tape and you're going to put it around the edge, not on the center. That's really important because this piece of the metal is going to fold down on the center. And that is what's going to light up my little LED. So I'm going to go on the edges, just like that. And if it's a little too long, you can always use scissors to cut it, or you could rip it. I'm going to use my scissors. It's such a small piece right here. You can cut that little piece off just like that. I only need one piece of tape, but if you wanted, you could add another piece of tape to the other side. That would be just fine. So you could take another piece of skinny masking tape or scotch tape. Again, make sure to leave that middle spot free. That's really important. And you go just on that edge, and then we tape it down. And you'll notice I can still see a whole lot of silver from my battery. That's going to be really important so that I can make that circle from the top of the battery. Will come up here, it'll go into the LED and then into the bottom, so it creates a circle like a circuit. All right, and then we want to install our LED. Now we're going to install it so that it pokes through this hole, because it's going to be on the top part. It's actually going to be how our head attaches to the body of this little diver. So I'm going to take this guy off for a second, and I'm going to take my legs to the LED and just poke them through that hole that we made earlier. So the LED is on the outside, and then the legs are on the inside. And I'm going to take note.
Can you show that again?
Yeah, so my LED is on the outside, just like that. And then my legs are what's on the inside. So LED out here, and the legs are on the other side. So my LED is now through the paper. And when you look at your LED legs, there's one leg that's slightly longer. And that's the leg that's going to go on this part that says long leg. It's going to go up towards its pack. Whereas the short leg is going to go down towards the battery. And you're just going to make your LED do the splits, just like this, so that it can line up and touch where the long leg is on the part over here. Really important, because remember, that's how we make sure those little electrons can drive through that slide. And then the short leg is going to be right down here. And we will just use a piece of masking tape to tape down those legs. All right, or masking tape or scotch tape, whatever sort of non-conductive tape you're using today. I'm going to actually get a bigger piece. And I'm going to really press it down really good. Make sure the leg is on top of the copper tape. Really important that it's not slipping onto the paper. Okay, so that I can even see my LED leg on top of the copper tape. I'm going to do that for the short leg as well. I'm going to grab another piece of tape. And it's okay if you tape over this hole. That's not a big deal at all. So I'm going to now press it really good. Make sure that that is on top of the copper tape. Our project won't work if it's not. I'm going to cut a little bit of the scotch tape off so it doesn't come outside of my diver. Just like that. So now I have my two legs that are taped in. The long leg came up here towards what will be the diver pack, and the short leg went straight towards where the battery is. All right, now here is the tricky part. All right, you're gonna take your fingers and you're gonna put them right where you put the crease at. All right, you're gonna put one set of fingers and you're just gonna pinch the paper like that. right where it's at. All right, and then you're gonna fold them together, pinching really hard. You're gonna have to bend the LED legs as you do this. And that's what's really important. So you're gonna pinch down and you're just going to bend. So again, I'm gonna pinch right where the two creases are, and I'm going to just bend it over. And that is going to help me maintain connection so that when I get over here and I put it down, it can light up for me. Ooh, and mine's not. It lit up for a second. And what I can do in that case is you can push your fingers in and you can press a little bit better and you can see if that helps you. Oh, I know why mine's not working, friends. Let's take a look at my wiring. I put a big piece of tape all the way in here. And I didn't even think about that. And I'm covering up my whole battery part. So if you did that, yours won't work either. So what I'm going to do to fix that is I'm just going to peel back this scotch tape right here so that I can have more of that copper tape. Because while I wanted to tape in that leg really well, the leg ends right there, and then I need copper tape to come out to touch the battery. So I'm going to cut off all of this masking tape right there, like that. So make sure that you didn't do what I did by accident and cover up this part that's in the gray circle. That's a really important part. And then again, we'll bend it all over, hold it together really nicely, and now it lights up great. So now I have a little light that lights up. If yours doesn't light up, that's okay. Things to check are that your legs are on top of this copper tape. That's one thing to really check. Maybe you accidentally covered up the middle part of your battery, or maybe like me, you accidentally covered up right here. And that's really hard to notice if you're using clear scotch tape, but you really got to pay attention to those couple of things. And then you should bend it. Maybe when you bent it, the legs came off, so you can press really hard to really reconnect them. And then when you press on the back over the battery, you should get it so that it lights up. And now we need to add our little diver's head. And you'll notice we poked this hole in our diver's head right in the middle. So I'm going to re-poke it again, just like that. So we have that hole that's right there. That hole is exactly where our LED is going to go. I'm going to take my awesome little diver circuit and I'm going to stick the LED up through the hole. So up through it so that I can see my face and all of the goodies. And it's going to go so the LED goes into the middle. All right, so I have sort of my outside things facing down right now. And then I'm going to poke it through the hole. And I'm just going to get it around that little LED. Just like that. And then when I put it up, I can tape those pieces together and I'll have a little diver that lights up, and it can even swivel its head, which I really love. That was an unexpected little extra piece, and I think it makes it so magical. So again, I'll show you that one piece again, just because I know that can be tricky. So we have our part with the LED. You're gonna hold your piece so that your face is pointing away from the diver's body. All right, so whatever face you drew is pointing away from my diver's body. And then you're gonna poke it on through and really gently put it on. And then when you close this up, you can either tape or you can glue these pieces down. You'll have your little diver's head that can move around. And from there, we just need to decorate it.
Can you show that, like you showed it towards this screen, can you turn it and then...
Like this?
Yep. And do the...
Do this part? Okay. Yes. So here it is. Here's my little diver's body like that. And I'm going to have, this one is facing up, right? So my face is facing the ceiling right now. I'm going to just stick it right on top, just like that. My face facing the ceiling. I'm going to poke that LED through, and then when I fold this up, I have my little face that's happy and lit up, which is amazing. Yeah, that is the tricky part. I was using this part as the back of mine. It's like a little diver pack, so obviously my little scuba diver should not turn the head like that. Ooh. That's some extra yoga. Whee! But now we have a happy or maybe completely broken diver. And you have a little light down there while you're exploring, which I love. And you can add your diver then into your diorama. And hopefully you've been adding in all of your different projects that we're making. This is the little guy we're making tomorrow, our little submarine. And I think Georgia is actually going to change her jellyfish into some LED coral. So you can always use some of our stuff to make things a little different. And that's a project we're working on together. And something that you could be working on, definitely show us. We've got our lights that are up here. So all of our projects from the week are coming together in this amazing little diorama that we're making. And it's a great way to celebrate your projects. Keep them in one place, which I know can be tricky. And, enjoy them, because you guys work really hard on these projects. It's really important to be really proud of what you're doing. It's not easy to make paper circuits. It's really tricky. And the fact that we have so many of you guys coming and making them amazes me. I'm so proud of you guys, especially when you guys have to persevere and really get it going. All right, we're gonna head over into our Zoom room for our afternoon chit chat, and we can see your projects, we can troubleshoot. Love to see decorations. A reminder, tomorrow we're having a talent show. Both of my girls are super excited. We're also gonna mix it with an art show. So if you have art you're really proud of and wanna share, you can bring your art, or you can bring your talent. I'm expecting to see great things. Isabella has been practicing. She has a surprise talent. She's been practicing really hard on something new, which is pretty exciting. And yeah, if you want to go to our Zoom room, we are over in patreon.com/RosieResearch. You can get the link to the Zoom room and the password, and that gives your kids a little extra layer of security while being online, because I know that as of my own self as a parent, I'm not a huge fan of them wandering the world of YouTube by themselves. All right, so I'll say goodbye for now to our YouTube friends. I'm super excited that you joined us today. I hope we'll see you tomorrow as we make a submarine, and definitely plan on next week to learn some mythology of the United States. I can't wait to do that also. All right, goodbye my YouTube friends, and hello my Zoom friends.